There we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, bringing you the latest and greatest geeky news of the week. I am your host, Sean Hayes. I'm doing a solo cast this week because Courtney's not feeling well. Um, but yeah. Um, so, I sorry, getting used to new microphone setup, kind of a new stream setup in OBS. This is the first podcast we're doing on the new stream setup. So, dealing with some audio things that I didn't test properly, but yeah. So, yeah, it's been a whirlwind week since last episode. Um, but we did get a bunch of really interesting gaming news, couple really juicy topics, and some interesting stuff coming out. We're getting console launches. So that's doing really well. Um, so yeah, and stuff we're getting releases. Stuff is starting to finally release. So we'll be talking about that. I'll be talking about that a little bit in the deep dive and sort of what I'm looking forward to. But first, why don't we tackle our quick fire news for the week? And I'm realizing this is not capturing stuff as I need it to. So hang on. There we go. Okay, that's great. Let's try that again. Yeah, wrong set of inputs and outputs for the desktop speakers. There we go. Bravo, Sean. Bravo. Okay, so PlayStation 5. So Xbox Series X is out. PlayStation 5 is not yet. But soon, I believe at the end of this week, it's supposed to release. So PS5 will have an Accolades system. So sort of for those who have played Overwatch before, how you can like give other players like awards on their performance based on like whether they were team players and positivity and stuff like that. PS5 is going to have a similar system for these accolades. It's designed to reward people for good behavior. So not necessarily like trophies for good gameplay, but were they a good leader? Were they a good team player? Were they positive? Were they helpful? So ways to like reward other people. You will not be able to award accolades to people on your friends list, I believe it said. And it's a limit to 2 every 24 hours, 12 hours. So it's designed to, those systems are in place to prevent you from giving accolades when, essentially to spam accolades for like people because you have a bias toward that. Excuse me. So it's designed really like if you're playing and you get matched up with random people and like they turn out to be really nice, you can award them accolades like to say, hey, if you get matched up with this person, like they're pretty good. So it seems like PlayStation's really kind of putting out tools in place to build a better community with the reporting features that we talked about before, however nefarious they may be capturing that audio data, and that's you can't opt out of that. To this system where and if it turns out you don't get matched with good people, you don't have to award them accolades, and they won't accrue them. So there's that. Next up, PlayStation 5 will now be included on the PlayStation Remote Play app. So this app can be installed on other devices, will allow you to stream games from your console to another PS4, PS5, desktop or laptop, PC or Mac, tablet, or smartphone that's on your same network. So I was actually unaware that this was already a thing. I think this is really cool. So I think this is other. Again, this was kind of like what Nintendo was doing with the Wii U and not doing very well. But and kind of doing with the Switch of being able to take it with you elsewhere, but in a different way. So using your PS4 or PS5 as the machine that you're streaming from, and streaming it to another device. So they do have a couple specifications. You do have to use a DualShock controller. And it does require it's minimum 5 megabits per second for your internet connection. It's recommended 15. So, I mean, we're not talking super fast, but you're going to have that bandwidth available. So, you'll want to have, at least cable level high speed internet. You might get away with DSL, but so yeah. So I mean that's pretty cool. I again I didn't realize it was that. I thought it was a new thing, but then I saw that it was available before then. One of the things you'll be able to do is you'll be able to stream from your PS5 to your PS4. So that's a little weird. I don't know why you would do that. But I guess Sony's just making that option available to you if you wish. So, shifting gears a little bit. So Squeenix, their HD games division reportedly lost roughly $63 million in the wake of Marvel's Avengers. So their HD games division produces games like Marvel's Avengers, Final Fantasy VII remake, as well as the other like sort of big budget titles. Looks like through a combination of factors, but not the least of which Marvel's Avengers performance has led to this loss. There wasn't a specific period given. It just said period. So I don't know if that's for the year, if that's like an annual loss, quarterly loss. So there is a stipulation on that. That was reported, I want to say, by GameSpot. So you can take it up with them. So yeah, but not good. Not good. Thankfully, other divisions in the company are profitable enough where the company as a whole is doing well. It's just this particular division isn't doing so great lately. So there's that. Assassin's Creed Valhalla launched this week on Xbox, PC, via UPlay or Epic, on PS4/PS5 and Stadia, which I didn't even realize was really a thing. I didn't think it was out yet, but or that it just never happened. But yes, that is out. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on the deep dive and just if you're playing on PC, some of the struggles you may face. It is not available on Steam, so keep that in mind. Next up, Pokemon Home. Some news there. So starting yesterday, November 10th, Pokemon Go can now link with Pokemon Home, so you'll be able to transfer one-way transfer from Pokemon Go to Pokemon Home. So that's actually a pretty neat way of catching Pokemon, because oftentimes you'll be able to find Pokemon in Pokemon Go that haven't been available to pick up in recent Pokemon generations. So that'll be a nice way of like easily getting those Pokemon without having to do all sorts of multiple link trade stuff between game systems and 3DS systems and 3DS cartridges and everything. And without having to use Pokemon Bank. So that's another thing. Access to this is being rolled out in batches. So not everybody has access to it right now. They were planning on starting by people with prioritizing higher trainer levels in Pokemon Go and eventually rolling it out to everybody. So it just seems like they were prioritizing doing it in batches and then prioritize people that are actually playing the game and rolling it out from them first, down to the plebs like myself. So, but yeah, once that's available, you'll be able to transfer your Pokemon from Go. If you do, you will get a special mystery box for Meltan, who's like a mythical Pokemon that's like kind of only in Pokemon Go. It's a little weird. I don't know where in the National Pokedex Meltan actually sits. But you'll also be able to get Melmetal, a special Gigantamax Melmetal that you can get in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So, highly recommend for folks that play Sword and Shield to link up Pokemon Go with Pokemon Home if you have that. Last up in our news, quickfire news. Yeah, this is another bit of weird news. So Fortnite players, if you play Fortnite, and you purchase anything in the Fortnite shop, in the in-game shop, including purchasing V-Bucks, and you do not already have a Disney Plus subscription, you can get 2 free months of Disney Plus. This offer is good until December 31st, in which case you get sort of like a special coupon code that, according to the article I read, was valid until January 31st, 2021. Although I think they might have the dates messed up a little bit because they were talking about WandaVision being able to wait a little bit later in the year, but it's only good for another month after that. So yeah, if you don't already have Disney Plus, I don't know why you wouldn't. You can presumably, pick up something in Fortnite and get 2 months free, which would be enough time to watch Mandalorian or WandaVision. So there you go. That is going to wrap up our quickfire news. So let's shift gears a little bit and get into the deep dive. All right, so first up, I want to talk about the World of Warcraft Shadowlands pre-patch because that the sort of Scourge event unveiled this week. So I started doing that. Looks like it's a bunch of new dailies that are designed to help combat Scourge invasions. Haven't had any players turn into zombies, which makes it different than the Wrath of the Lich King event. So I don't know if there was enough. If Blizzard was having flashbacks to when that happened and the amount of backlash from the community and how divided the community was over whether it was a good thing or not, just because of how trolly people can get when they were using the ghoul abilities. But basically, you get a bunch of dailies. You go back to the Argent tournament, and you get tokens. You turn them in for gear, a little battle pet type thing. I kind of like it. It gets you back in that area. I was frequenting that area anyway to do the old dailies, which I presume will return when the event's done. And it's a way to get, some what's now eye level 100 gear to get you prepared to go right into Shadowlands. So that's nice. It's always good to revisit old enemies every now and again. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're rehashing stuff that they don't need to, but so yeah. I won't talk a little bit more about it because there's some big spoilers that unfortunately I got spoiled on YouTube from thumbnails and in video titles. So that's a thing. But we'll say they kind of start tying up loose ends from the last expansion. So, but I also managed to pick up Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So switch gears again a little bit. So decided to jump on that after watching some gameplay footage from another Twitch streamer, Urban Bohemian. Be sure to go check his channel out. So what Assassin's Creed Valhalla is, it's Assassin's Creed Vikings. But because a lot of it's like outdoors and it's not any like single city type area, I have been told that it follows a lot in the vein of Odyssey. To me, it kind of has elements of Assassin's Creed. Like it's still very much an Assassin's Creed game, but it seems like it also draws heavily on open world games in the vein of a lot of Elder Scrolls type stuff. So it's got kind of Skyrim-esque vibes. Except of course for the fact that it's supposed to be based historically. Um, so you're not dealing with a lot of, well, it's more historical and less fantastic, though there are supernatural elements in the game. So I haven't gotten very far. I've only gotten to basically where you get to your home city, and I don't want to spoil too much of the plot already. Um, but combat is a little weird because you use the triggers and the bumpers, so that I'm still getting used to. You use like heavy attack and light attack are the right bumper and trigger, whereas like left trigger is to aim your bow, whereas the left bumper is to use your offhand weapon or offhand shield. So oftentimes I'll find myself in combat and going to deflect an attack, and instead I'm pulling out the bow, and it's like, no, no, that's not how that works. Um, please don't do that. I'm getting stabbed. Please, please don't. Uh, but installing the game, so it was an absolute nightmare. So Ubisoft seems to insist on using UPlay for like everything, or you connect or whatever it is. And I got to tell you, I'm really tired of every game development company thinking they have to have their own launcher. I hate it. It just complicates everything. It means that when you load a game, like you end up having to load multiple launchers, and it's further complicated because it is an Epic Play Store exclusive, outside of UPlay, of course. So like if you buy it directly from Ubisoft, that's fine. But it's only on, like, it's not available on Steam. What this means is that if you're like me and you have a Nintendo Switch Pro controller but not an Xbox controller, um, for Steam games, I can use my Switch Pro controller just fine. For stuff that's outside of Steam, which I have a couple games, like Dauntless is another one, I have to add them to Steam in order to use my Switch controller with them because Epic doesn't recognize the Pro controller. So this means um, that in order to get this game running, so I bought the game on the Epic Store because I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. I downloaded it. I installed it. And was like, great. Okay, it's installed. I'll add it into Steam. I already did this before. I know the routine. Add it to Steam, use the controller, set it up. Won't launch. Come to find out, I now have to download and install UPlay Connect or something. Hang on. Let me look up the name of it. It's in my Ubisoft Connect. So now I got to download that. And then I got to launch that. So now and then there was, maybe about half hour of trying to figure out what the correct file path was to add it into Steam. So, in order to play this game, I have Steam. I launch it from Steam. This launches the Epic Store. From the Epic Store, the game launches and then launches Ubisoft Connect. And then from Ubisoft Connect, it then launches the game. PC gaming was supposed to be easy. PC gaming is no longer easy. And the only reason I'm playing this on PC is because it will not get released for Switch. Or at least it's very unlikely that it'll get released for Switch. That's my sigh. Sigh of disappointment. It took far too long for me to install this game. That said, I finally did get it working. It cost me like maybe an hour to an hour and a half of troubleshooting and getting stuff figured out. When I finally started it up, it's great. It runs great on my machine. Um, Admittedly, there's a couple times when it's a little difficult to tell if there's like screen tearing or if it's hiccups or if it's an intended effect from the animus. Mostly happening in the prologue of the game. Um, but everything so far seems to be running pretty smoothly. Um, Aside from getting the hang of the bumper and trigger buttons, everything's great. Um, I really like the different styles of play that you can do. For me, who played through all of Skyrim, doing the whole um, sort of sneaking around and shooting arrows at people, I can do that. Um, if you want to rush in and use, big two-handed axe, you can do that too. One of the interesting things about this game is, so normally with Assassin's Creed, is the whole point is they use this sort of weird genetic memory nonsense. Uh, and what they do is they extract quote unquote memories from your DNA of your ancestors. Um, and they recreate these virtual reality experiences using the Animus, which is this big, VR simulation machine type thing. In the prologue of this game, you find out that there are actually two data streams that occasionally don't that occasionally overlap and occasionally don't, and it causes some sort of misfiring. Um, so this is to allow you to pick the gender of your main character. So unlike Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you could pick, male or female, and they were brother and sister, this is the same character. So you can pick male Ivor or female Ivor, who's the character's first name. Or, in an interesting twist, you can let the machine pick which data stream for you. So some points, your character will be female, and at some points, your character will be male. This has some interesting ramifications. I haven't gotten far enough in yet to figure out if this means that, is Ivor trans? Is Ivor, is Ivor non-binary? Um, are there two Ivors? I don't know. It's unusual. Um, but I ended up going with that option because um, I think it's where there will be the most interesting dynamics at play. That said, if you want to pick one or the other, the game will let you do that. I don't know, and I didn't want to spoil myself to see if that has any story ramifications if you pick one or the other, like if you end up missing out on certain scenes or not. Um, so yeah, little confusing about that. My hope is that they don't do any of the sort of, oh, it's time to log out for your session. Okay, we're gonna show you around uh whatever the organization's headquarters are. Here's your badge, go up to the, meet the CEO and stuff like that. Um I hated that part of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, just because I was like, I bought this game to play pirates. I don't want to walk around an office building and talk to some hacker guy who's trying to take down the security system. Like, that's not what I'm here for. I don't care. Like, I want to get back to sailing a ship and shooting cannons. Just like with this game, I want to explore, I want to, trudge through the snow. I want to shoot bows and arrows. I don't want to sit there and like log out of a machine and then be like, okay, I have to go find the third floor elevator to go meet Jeff. Like, no, no, I don't want to do office work. So, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm not very far into it. Maybe an hour or two. Um, so we've got that. And then as far as what else I've been playing, um, I'm kind of reaching that point in Animal Crossing where there's not a whole lot left to do. So it's really kind of like hop on, see what's in the store, collect any do it yourself recipes like really quick, and then hop off. Um, but the other game that I've been playing a lot of is Darkest Dungeon, and I believe I talked about it on the podcast maybe a week or two ago. But that this continues to be a really interesting game. Getting to the point where the difficulty is starting to ramp up, and I'm starting to feel it. But I've only lost 2 characters so far, so we'll see how that goes. I did see that they are releasing a Darkest Dungeon 2 in early access fairly soon. But that is going, but at least the early access will be an Epic Store exclusive. So once again, Epic taking things over. So I don't necessarily know how I feel about that, because again, it means that I have to jump through hoops to get my controller to work. So that's not my jam. But yeah. So that's gonna wrap up our deep dive. So why don't we head on into what's going on for Questlog? I don't know what's going on. That file's not playing. Oh well. That's great. Once again, problems. Said it did play. We're gonna worry about it later. Next week is when we'll worry about it. So, Questlog is where we talk about what sort of geeky stuff is on our to-do list. So I said last week I was going to work on coloring a comic and doing an item icon for my video game project. Good news is I worked on I colored several comics and did several icons. So we talked about Courtney and I talked about this app last week, Habitica, where it's like a productivity task-based app where you create a little RPG character and you set up tasks to do, and as you do the tasks, like, you get experience and use skills and fight monsters and stuff. And by doing tasks, you deal damage to monsters. So I've been setting it up so that I have daily tasks to work on creative stuff. That has helped me accomplish these goals, and I've been doing a lot. So definitely blew those goals out of the water. I am going to keep those goals where they are for next week. But I think what I might do is maybe add some kind of video game goal. Maybe. I'm not entirely sure. Just because, like, Assassin's Creed is kind of it's typically like a 60-hour game. I've also got Super Mario 64 that I've been playing. So I'm not really sure as far as goals that work well for that. But I think my goals for the week will continue to be color a comic and create an item icon. Because they're really good. They're really tangible. Like, it's a very concrete task. It's, open up comic, color comic, done. The item icon is like you produce an icon at the end of that. So we ended up being, I want to say, 4 out of 2 for last week. We'll see if I can do that. Again, this upcoming week, it's my dad is visiting, so that's going to throw all sorts of stuff out of whack. As well as a bunch of stuff going on. So, yeah. So that is kind of it for the podcast this week. So sorry again, it's such a short one, but Courtney unfortunately isn't feeling well. She's got a migraine. That said, what I might do is when we stop recording, I may boot up something and do a little bit of a game stream. So join me back for that right afterward. And if you want to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, you can check out 8-bitadventures.com. If you want to help support this content, be sure to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Over there, you can get early access to comics. You can get behind the scenes content for projects like Tales of Jamora. and you can get a discount on merch. So, big shout out and thank you to all of our current patrons. Thank you to all the people that support the stream as subscribers or who just show up. Just, and every bit of support helps. Helps, keep these projects going. And lastly, our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And with that, we're out. So, as always, have fun, everyone. Happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.